Hello everyone, Scott here. It's been a while since I posted on this channel. I was without a camera for some weeks. I have a newer camera now, so my first order of business in coming back is to make a video for Hidden in a Book, a.k.a. purplebookfairy. Elin in Norway had posted a video some time ago about a book that she'd read called The Left Hand of Darkness. I asked her some questions about it, and she says, tell you what, why don't, instead of me answering the questions, you just read the book. And after she won my contest, she made sure that I would read it because the custom video she requested is me reviewing the book. So, The Left Hand of Darkness is by a writer named Ursula Le Guin. She has written a number of science fiction novels and short story collections, most notably Tales from Earthsea, which I haven't read. This story basically takes place in a very, very distant future era of humanity. An era in which humanity has migrated from Earth to a whole bunch of different planets all over the known portion of the galaxy. In fact, they've been spread out over different planets for so long that some of their civilizations have actually been forgotten by the majority of humans in contact with each other. There is an organization called the Ecumen, which is a bit like the Alliance or the Federation or the Galactic Republic, in that it is sort of an organization of representatives from all different civilized planets to sort of coordinate efforts in trade and exchange of information, settling disputes, things of that nature. And the Ecumen also sends out envoys to other settled planets that are not a member of the Ecumen to see if they want to join. The main character of The Left Hand of Darkness is named A. He is known as the envoy to most people on the planet that he visits, which is called Guin, but the nickname for it is Winter because it is so very cold and snowy there year-round. The other major character in the book is named Theram, and he is the prime minister of one of the countries of Guin, a country called Karhide. And as the story begins, Genli has been on the planet of Guin for about 2 years, and he has been residing in the country of Karhide and is waiting for an audience with the king of Karhide to ask whether or not the king would like to be the first of his the countries on Guin to join the Ecumen. If Karhide joins the Ecumen, then the other countries might follow suit in quick fashion. However, the problem comes in which the Prime Minister, Theram, explains to Genli that there is a level of patriotism which is more like less a love of one's own homeland than a fear of the other civilization. Consequently, the king is threatened by the existence of the Ecumen and the news that there are other humans out there in the galaxy beyond their planet. As the king, he considers himself to be a very powerful person, and your presence here and your news about the Ecumen is throwing all of that into disarray. So he's not going to be real open to the idea of joining the Ecumen, and considering that he is and considering that he's not one of the most powerful people on the planet. As a result of the Prime Minister speaking on behalf of the envoy to the king, he is excommunicated. He is labeled an outcast, a traitor, actually. And it becomes illegal for any citizen of Karhide to help him or to even speak to him. So he has to basically make haste for the border and take up residence in another country called Erinrang. I believe... No, I'm sorry. That's Orgoren. There's a whole bunch of terms to become familiar with when reading this book. There's a lot of political talk about the various kings and customs and all sorts of rituals and points of social order. Yeah, it's a very specific kind of portrait that the writer paints of these various communities and how they differ from each other and how they differ from the rest of humanity. Of course, one of the biggest differences between the people who live on Guin and the rest of the galaxy is because they are androgynes. They do not have one sex or the other. They are all basically the same gender, except for a period of a few days out of each month in which they go into a phase called Kemmer. And it's at this point that they seek sexual contact with other members, and their genitals actually change depending on the genders of the other Gethans who are in close proximity to them. So none of the people who live on Gethin, the natives of Gethin, are actually male or female, but they might become male or female for a short period of time as they go into Kemer, which is their period of mating and sexual bonding. Sometimes you will have people who will Kemer to each other and commit, into a marriage-type relationship for the rest of their lives. But for the most part, there's a lot of sort of, not really bed hopping, but they have sort of a period where each of them has the opportunity to meet other Gethins and possibly have a sexual encounter of some kind that's mutually satisfying. And in fact, work is structured around this. If you go into Kemer, you get time off of work, time off of your job. Isn't that great? So yeah, there's a lot to consider here. The trouble with with Therum, and that he's been excommunicated from his country, leads him to come in contact with the people who live in this neighboring country, and the people who run it call the Commensals. Yes, that's right. I believe that's correct. And there's also sort of a secret police organization in this country called the Sarf, who are responsible for some trouble of some kind. This was actually a couple weeks ago that I finished this book, but like I said, I haven't been able to make a video about it for a while. But when Genli receives the refusal from Karhide's king, Agraven, he decides, well, I'm going to go to the neighboring country of Orgoryen, and see if they want to be the first country to join the Ecumen. So when he goes over there, he is greeted with great hospitality by the people who are in charge of that country, and meets a very friendly individual named Fakes, who, that's spelled F-A-X-E, not fakes as in someone who is fake. But eventually he discovers that these people don't have his best interests at heart, and they actually throw him into a work camp, and there's a huge, very grueling sequence in which he and a whole bunch of other Gethins are loaded naked into a van, a locked van, and travel over the course of 5 days to this work camp. And because it's so cold there, they all have to huddle together for warmth throughout this 5-day journey, which they only get basically 1 drink of water per day, and they put the bucket with the water inside, and if you're last in line to get water, you might be out of luck because it might all be gone by then. But eventually Therum figures out what happens to Genli, and he conspires to break him out of prison, and they need to make it back across the border to Karhide where they'll be safe. Unfortunately, Therum can't enter Karhide, and Genli is a fugitive in the country that they're in presently, so they have to figure out a way to get there without encountering any other person. And it's a journey of about 700 miles or something like that. And it's across what they call the Gobrin Ice, which is this wasteland where no one lives. It's just like the harshest weather conditions. Fortunately, Therum is well schooled in survival tactics on his planet, and so he sort of formulates the plan and rations out all their food and water and everything like that, and they set out on their journey across the ice, which is a very, very suspenseful. It's basically the second half of the book is their journey across the ice. There are a couple of terms other than Kemer which I'd like to share with you. Doth. What is that? I forgot what that term means. I wrote this down and I don't even remember what it means now. I should have written down definitions for each of these. Oh yes, I remember. Doth is this heightened state of physical activity that Gethins can... it's sort of a Zen state whereby you sort of channel the energy of your body. It makes you stronger, raises the level of your endurance. And this is what happens when Therum breaks Genli out of the work prison. He carries him across a great distance, but then he has to rest for several days afterwards. He's just completely exhausted by that. The Nussa is an interesting expression that Therum uses every once in a while. It basically means it's not a big deal, no problem, it's all good, something like that. And then there's a really interesting term called Shifgrethor, which is defined as a principle of social authority. Shifgrethor is kind of like, I want to say, not exactly ethics, but it's more like social customs. I forget exactly the word that I wanted to use in order to compare it to, but it's like just sort of the unspoken rules of socialization between Gethans, and the sort of the pecking order as far as authority goes, and just how to show respect to others, that kind of thing. Really, really interesting book, and exciting too. And it's difficult for you to picture actually the characters in my mind, because like I said, they're neither male or female. They sort of have this sort of in-between appearance, as is described by the author. Yeah, not really sure how to picture that in my head, but it's interesting. And it's one of those books which I would consider to be pretty much unfilmable unless it's animated, because you would have a hard time casting actors. But of course, you'd still need someone to do the voices. So do you pick male actors or female actors? I don't know. But as far as I know, this book is not becoming a movie, and that's probably a good thing. It probably just works best as a novel. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It's very exciting and suspenseful. There's a lot of interesting stuff in it, and I want to thank again Elin in Norway for recommending it, because she did a video on this as well. So this is how I came to do this in the first place. So thanks very much for watching. I hope if this interests you that you check out the book, because it's a good one. And I will be back, of course, with more videos very, very soon. Thank you.